we let Antonio go today. Just to clear you up on some things that happened. At no point in time during that game did he ever ask the trainer or doctor about his ankle. He never went through. That's the normal protocol. You go through protocols during games. I was never notified of it. So obviously that was the disturbing thing when we were looking for him to go back into the game. All right, we always had, he was very upset at halftime about who was getting targeted. Got that calmed down. Players took care of that. It started again on the sideline. We called for the personnel group that he had played in the entire game. He refused to go in the game. That's when I looked back and saw him basically wave off the coach. I then went back, approached him about what was going on. I ain't playing. What's going on? I ain't getting the ball. That's when I said, "You're done. Get the F out of here." And that's the end of it. And we're working on Carolina. That's the end of the story. And hopefully it ends today.
All right, Mike.
This thing is wild, man. This
yeah.
thing is wild. Oh my
It's wild.
Take it away.
It's wild. It's wild in a way. In a way, it's wild. In a way, it is predictable. You know, I thought about this. I'm so glad that Bruce Arians spoke, and not that as a journalist. I mean, you were trained as a journalist. I'm trained as a journalist. So it's not like we listen to one side of a story and come to the conclusion, hey, Bruce Arians spoke, it's his version of events, we're just going to accept that and run with it. Not good journalists don't do that. But I'm glad that I heard Bruce Arians' side of the story. I'm glad that I heard or read Antonio Brown's side of the story. And I'm angry that Tom Brady gave his mumbo-jumbo, new age, muddy the waters, compassion, blah, blah, blah. I'm mad at him because he's the only speed bump. That's the only speed bump I had. And I still, and even though you're not supposed to drive fast when the speed bump is on the road, I still was going about 68, 70 when the speed bump says slow it down to about 22, 25. So I'm at Tom Brady. You stand aside here. Stand aside here, Tom. I'm glad I heard from Bruce Arians because that lets me further know that it's exactly what we thought it was. It's exactly what it appeared to be. There was no other circumstances going on that we don't know about because as we look at this, as we look at some of the B-roll from there, we'll get to it because we've showed it many times. We look at the B-roll of Antonio Brown leaving the field that day. You know who he walked by? You wouldn't notice this because everybody was focused on this dramatic taking off the uniform and looking at the world-class abs and the peace sign. He not only walked by Mike Evans, he not only walked by a couple of backups that you haven't paid attention to, Alex Guerrero was right there. So I know that's Tom Brady's guy, by the way, his personal trainer. So Alex Guerrero's right there. Alex Guerrero's not saying, there he is. Guerrero's not saying, well, hold on, wait a minute, there's a misunderstanding here. This man is hurt. This man has a case. No.
What does that
This is what it is. What does it have to do with it? This was not an injury concern. This is not an injury story with Antonio Brown. Don't be distracted by him. Here's my problem with Antonio Brown, Mike. And this is my problem with this whole conversation. With all respect, you know how much I love Rodney Harrison. With the CTE stuff. Rodney said, oh, he took a big hit from Vontaze Burfict, and he had a concussion. He was knocked out. CTE. Nah, man. He might. But this behavior from Antonio Brown, if you look at the origin story, this has been happening since he was 16 or 17 years old. This goes back to Florida. This goes back to his stepdad saying we had to kick him out of the house because he wouldn't listen to anything that we had to say. This goes back to Central Michigan. That's why he was a 6th-round pick in the first place. This goes back to Pittsburgh. This goes back to Oakland. This goes back to New England. This is the story in Tampa. And the one thing I have to say to anybody who wants to cape up for Antonio Brown is, why does all of this stuff happen to him and nobody else? Why is it always him? Why is, like, a trainer is always out to get him? A coach is always out to get him. People always misunderstand him. Why him? Why do bad things just happen to you? Are you that Peanuts character where the cloud is always over you? Or maybe, or just maybe, you make a bunch of bad decisions.
No, you're talking about Pigpen with the funk around him.
With the dirt. Not the cloud. With the
that's
dirt. Even better.
Yeah.
That's even better. Actually, that's even better.
Yeah.
Because he's just always filthy. It's just filthy stuff always happening. Filthy stuff follows him. Drama follows him. Is it because of somebody else, or is it because of his bad decisions? So, with all respect, he may have some mental health issues. Yes, he does. He may have that. He may have some CTE issues. He may.
Right.
But that aside, that's one lane. The mental health is one lane. CTE is another lane. Maybe they're in the same lane.
Right. Same bucket.
But the highway, the 6-lane highway that is Antonio Brown's career tells you that this is the same thing that it's always been. I'm disappointed in myself. I'll say this and I'll hand it to you. I'm disappointed in myself. They actually thought for a second, maybe something else is at play. No. What's going on here is he's blaming a coach. He blamed the GM. The GM. Oh, you mean the guy that Tom Brady talked into signing you? My coach. Oh, you mean the guy who didn't want to sign you and Tom Brady talked him into signing you? So now they got no names. And they're at fault. And they did this to you, and they sent you junior doctors, his word, a junior doctor. They wouldn't even give you great medical care. They had some, a resident, a med student who was supposed to check you out. So, I am so over this cat, man. It's the same story that it's always been. And look at this.
That was great. That was great, Michael. I think not only was that well said, I think you spoke for a lot of people. And all week long, you and I have dabbled in the nuance of this story, but we've agreed for the most part. I've probably been a little more open-minded than you about what may have been said.
Yes.
What may have been said at halftime. No, because you just said what I've been saying. That it could be a combination of things. Doesn't have to be one particular thing. But I think two things that I learned last night and into today, starting with Antonio Brown's statement, continuing with his agent's thread, into this morning with Antonio Brown releasing alleged text exchanges between him and Bruce Arians. And the reason I say alleged, by the way, I believe Antonio Brown's middle name is Tavares. His middle name might as well be allegedly. Because there's always something that's like, wait a second, wait, did he do this? He's accused of this? Are they lying on him?
Right.
Or is he lying? But the reason I say alleged text messages because, listen, man, we're talking about a dude that not only faked his vaccination status, right. We're talking about somebody who staged being vaccinated once he was caught. I've said this before, but I'll say it again in case you missed it. Not only did he fake his vaccination status, when he got busted, he produced a phony nurse and clinic in an attempt to prove that he was vaccinated. So there is no telling the lengths that he will go to prove that he is the victim here, okay? However, but having said all that, just because he's got a track record of drama, a track record of being the one that everybody is out to take down and everybody's wrong except for him and it's never his fault, because he has a track record of quitting and throwing tantrums when things don't go his way, doesn't mean there might not be some truth, or at minimum, his truth when it comes to the events. And I'm strictly talking about the exchange between him and Arians. Strictly that, Michael.
Okay.
What happened after that was his choice. Whatever that was his choice. Him stripping, throwing things in the stands, that was his choice. I'm talking about strictly that exchange and strictly how hurt he was. That doesn't mean there's not some truth. Okay? Now, but here's the bottom line. In the court of public opinion, the jury has been tainted insofar as there's a lot of people, Michael, who are, you want to talk about the lanes on the highway. The left lane people, all right? To hell with Antonio Brown. Done with Antonio Brown. Sick of his crap. Get out the way. Okay? Yep. Get him out of here, all right? The right lane people, pray for Antonio Brown. He needs help. I believe Antonio Brown. Stand for Antonio Brown. I stand with all the stuff you're seeing on social media today. In the middle lane is like, as usual, there's the truth probably lies somewhere in the middle. And the middle's boring. Who wants to drive in the middle lane? Middle's boring. Okay? The truth probably lies somewhere in the middle.
I don't think it is.
Somewhere in the middle. It could be closer to the left. It's definitely not the right. Because the most damning thing, Michael, was that they asked for his money, his incentives to be guaranteed. That was the most damning nugget that came courtesy of Jason Light. That Antonio Brown's camp asked for the money to be guaranteed going into the game. Because as Prime once said, must be the money, and it's always the money. Every statement is about the money. Whether lawyers get it or Antonio gets it, it's always about the money. And so that set the stage for Sunday, all right? So I'm with you 100%. Antonio Brown has no credibility. He has no credibility given his track record of bullshit. I'm just gonna call it what it is. That's his track record.
Let's call it what it is. That's right.
And listen, I said earlier today, the one thing I think we know for sure is that we don't know. We can assume, we could surmise, but the one thing is that we don't know. Because they got two versions of what happened, two versions of the events of what happened. But here's what we do know, Michael, to your point, and back to you, to your point. It's not a matter of if, but when and how. It is going to end, and it is going to end badly when you get in bed with Antonio Brown. And this is how it's happening. Whatever the truth is, this was the inevitable conclusion when the Bucs signed him and then recommitted to him. He was always going to go down in flames, one way or the other. You are 100% right. The waters got muddy because you and I didn't try to diagnose him from afar. But Tom Brady spoke with an authority as though, wait, there's something deeper going on here that we need to respect.
Yeah.
I do think that's part of it, but you're 100% right, Michael. At the core of it, and we said it on Monday, and here we are on Thursday, when you're dealing with Antonio Brown, this is what you get. And Bruce Arians was already in the red. He was a race car in the red, and he was about to blow, okay? And Antonio was like, oh, you about to blow? Well, I'm a mushroom cloud. I mean, that's what's about to happen. That's what was going to happen. It was bound to happen. Right. It was bound to happen. Unbelievable.
And then here's the other thing.
But you say you don't think the truth is in the middle. I'm sorry. I think
I don't think it is in the middle. I don't think the truth is in the middle. I think the truth. I think it is exactly what it's always been.
I'm fair to a fault.
It's like
I'm fair to a fault.
You remember? I can't remember the line. Now you're much better at this than I am with movie lines and the exact phraseology. But there was a line in Mo Better Blues when Bleak had it in Spike's character. What's Spike's character's name?
Shorty. Shorty.
Oh yeah, Shorty. Yeah. So Shorty was telling Bleak, man, I can get my cousin to do this for you. He's like, man, last time your cousin right. like messed my tooth up, man.
Look at my teeth.
It's always it's always something with your cousin messing something up. Like Antonio Brown, it's always something with him. Why is it all white? Is it everybody else is screwed up? And you're the righteous one? You're the righteous one in a world that has gone all wrong? You're our last hope? You're the shining beacon? Why is it always you?
You're trying real hard to be the shepherd? Yeah. No, I think, Mike,
he's that dude.
It's because
Antonio Brown is that dude. he tells the story, and that's the one. You know the story, the storyteller. Everybody knows a friend like this. And then I told him, all right, I'll kick your ass. You know what I mean? Like, it's always like, but check you're the hero. Everybody else is the villain.
Boom. Here's what happened after that. No, but listen. Earlier in the week, we also talked about Antonio Brown's talent, how great he is. And you said he was the best receiver in Steelers history, and I cringed.
Yeah.
He's like this because he's been allowed to be like this. He's like this because he's so supremely talented and so gifted until everybody from the Steelers, when they recommitted to him financially, and you know money makes you more of who you already are, to the Raiders, to the Patriots, to the Buccaneers with Tom Brady. There's the common denominator there. Everybody thinks I can fix him. Let him get with me. You want to talk about the dudes? Every woman, they got a dude that women be like, I could settle him down. That's right. You know what? I can deal with it. Or a teacher that sees a student like, you know what? Give me a week with him. Or as we said the other day, you try to turn a into a housewife. Okay?
Yeah.
So what happens is he's so talented until everybody keeps allowing him and enabling him, by extension, to be who he is with minimal accountability. And contributing to that could be some deep-seated issues. But Michael, everything you said, and I've enjoyed everything you said. This was the day you've been waiting for all week to get closer to the truth of what happened. I know you have.
Yeah.
But Michael,
yes,
we got to be honest. And I want to say this off top, but we're 17 minutes in. I think the other lesson here and the other observation is, like with many conversations in our society these days, social, political, religious, sports, when you got a side, everything you see becomes confirmation bias. And it becomes theories, it becomes facts to suit theories instead of theories to suit facts. And so from what I've observed, everything that's happened since last night, from Brown statements to Arians statements, if you were already on Antonio's side, if you were on Team Antonio, you still on Team Antonio today. Like I told you, there was more to this story. I told you they tried to cage him. You know what I'm saying? Like Antonio had the whole story down. I didn't want to wear their brand on my body. It was like, you know what I mean? Like I told
incredible
you so.
Statement though.
And then on the flip side, if you are like Michael Holley and was like, I've seen this movie too many times to believe it's anything other than Antonio Brown is the problem, then everything you've seen and heard since then supports that stance. As usual, there's no room for nuance in this conversation, so I'll just sit here by myself and be lonely.
Two quick things. One, Vinny Goodwill's checked in, and he said Spike's, his character's name was Giant. It was not Shorty. Shorty was Malcolm X, right?
Oh, that's right. Shorty. Thank you, Vinny.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vinny. It was Giant. It was Giant. The irony. Giant. Yeah. The irony was there. Shorty was Malcolm X.
Giant.
Yeah.
Shorty
and Wesley Snipes was like, what's height got to do with it? Because you keep coming up short. Right, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely.
In a beautiful, just aesthetically,
everything. Tone, score, everything.
And here's the other thing.
Thank you, Vinny. Love that.
You have an agent.
Yeah.
Me too. When you have an agent, the agent works for you. You don't work for the agent works for you. So let's say everything this is why I say the truth is not in the middle. Let's say everything that Antonio Brown said about Bruce Arians is 100% true. Bruce Arians put him in the game, wanted him to go in the game when he was hurt. Everybody knew he was hurt.
Conveniently hurt.
And
Probably conveniently hurt because he wasn't getting the ball.
Right. and they disrespected him and all this. Say that's all true. That still does not excuse you taking off your uniform and running off the field. Now, you can handle that in a different way. And I'll hear you. I'll hear you, bro.
I'm so glad you said that. I'm so glad you said that, Michael. Michael, sports history is littered with people, whether it's managers at home plate, whether it's NBA players getting kicked out the game, taking their stuff off as they go to the tunnel. People getting ejected. It happens all the time. The problem is Antonio Brown. It's Antonio Brown, like and as usual, he took it too far. And it's his own team uniform. But I'm saying, I
can think of guys who have done it, but they have never done it in a final act.
This.
So they didn't look.
Hey, listen.
I remember. So Dennis Rodman did it, but he wasn't done with the Bulls.
What we're not allowing for on all sides is, Michael, like, we got to lead. We don't have to, Michael. I don't disagree with nothing you said. You dropped the mic today, Mike. I'm saying, I think to understand where I'm coming from, like, we got to allow for the fact that this was a heat of the moment. And both these people, there could be more than one person in the wrong. Because we've already agreed. Bruce Arians was already fed up with Antonio Brown. Already fed up with him. And you said, you know, the truth is in the middle. Long time ago. You said you don't think the truth is in the middle. He was hurt. He was on the injury report with the ankle injury. He's probably going to get surgery. Can we see the MRIs? Can we see the receipts? We've already seen your bank information. We've already seen the alleged text. Do you actually have MRIs that show how hurt you were? The heat of that moment brought out the worst in those two individuals, and they brought out the worst in each other. And at that moment, ain't nobody, they got history, and Antonio got history. And when you watch those optics of him stripping and acting a fool and Antonio Browning, we look at it through the prism of all the other stuff that Antonio Brown has done, and understandably so. Just like you're skeptical of his story because of all the other bullshit stories that he's had over the course of the years. Completely understandable. It doesn't mean he's flat out lying now. And we have to allow for the fact that the Buccaneers also have an agenda here. They also have an agenda because it's a convenient thing to say that Antonio Brown was complaining because he didn't want to get the ball, and wanted his money guaranteed. Well, guess what that supports? That he's a selfish, me-first guy who only cares about his money. And maybe his money, and if he does have money problems, which has also been reported that he has money problems, but hold on, real quick. He has money problems. Perhaps that is contributing to, wait for it, whatever social, psychological, or emotional issues he's having. This is a perfect storm of crap that we have tried to wade through all week. And there's still more that we don't know about. I'm convinced there's still more that we don't know about.
Yeah, and I'll say this, Mike. The one thing that I am on his side, I'm on his side. If he wants his money, okay. Most people working a job want their money. You know, back to Spike Lee movies. Hey, Mookie done thrown the garbage can into Sal's Famous. And the next day, the place is burned down. Next day, he's like, hey, Sal, you want your money? You want your money, Mookie? He came back for his money. Okay, he wanted his money. I understand that, but there's another side of it. I want the money if I'm the performer, but if I'm the employee, I pay you to do a job. I'm the head coach. I'm not here to talk about the trainer. I'm not here. If I am given certain players, if the players are here in front of me, all I'm thinking about is that player's available. So we pay you a salary to go out and perform. You go out and perform, and you say your checks should not bounce. It's perfect. So Bruce Arians was also in the heat of the moment. Antonio Brown in the heat of the moment, so is Bruce Arians. Wait a minute.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's what I'm saying.
We're trying to win a game.
We're trying to win a game.
This dude's not going to the game.
Ain't nobody taking a deep breath in that moment, sitting up here saying, that's not happening here. That is not happening here.
You raise an interesting point.
Right. They're not being civil in this moment. And that doesn't absolve or excuse anybody, to be clear. That doesn't absolve or excuse anybody. I'm simply getting to the point that it's understandable, all things considered, why this happened. Again, it was inevitable for this to happen. But what's crazy is when we left here yesterday, Michael, I was thinking to myself, I was like, man, I wonder if after the dust settles and maybe cooler heads prevail, could they end up because why is he still on the team? As of yesterday afternoon, why is he still on the team? Well, maybe they're working a way to maybe bring him back. And then based on the statements, at least, they were still trying to work with him to put him on IR and get him his money. It's like even after Sunday, they were still trying to be nice to him.
Hey, thanks for watching Brother from Another on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe before you leave, and be sure to watch us 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Appreciate you.